SEC Network is providing students here at Mississippi State with the opportunity of a lifetime. Find out what that is this week on Take 30 Sports.
Visual honoring the victims of Pittsburgh Synagogue's attack. I'm Sharon McDuffie, and see how the student body came together to mourn the lives lost.
Basketball season is back in action. I'm Georgia Moore with Take 30 Sports, and I'll take you inside the hump for a little basketball action.
Thank you for watching Take 30 News. I'm Cash Matlock.
And I'm Sydney Moore. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first we have some breaking news out of Washington, D.C.
That's right. Attorney General Jeff Sessions resigned earlier today at President Trump's request. According to the Washington Post, Sessions wrote a letter to Trump that has been, quote, he has been, quote, honored to serve as Attorney General and has worked to implement the law enforcement agenda based on the rule of law that formed a central part of your campaign for the presidency. And Trump tweeted that Sessions would be temporarily replaced by Matthew G. Whitaker, who had previously been serving as Sessions' chief of staff. And Trump announced there will be a permanent replacement nominated to the position in the near future.
Well, the Mississippi Senate race results are in. Republican Roger Wicker has once again been reelected to his spot in the U.S. Senate, running for the second spot in the Mississippi Senate in Republican candidate Cindy Hyde-Smith, who is ahead with 41.5% of the vote. Democratic candidate Mike Espy is just behind her with 40.6% of the vote. In third place is Republican candidate Chris McDaniel with 16.4% of the vote, and Democratic candidate Toby Bartee is fourth with 1.4% of the vote.
Well, Hyde-Smith and Espy face off against each other in a runoff on November 27th to determine who will finish out the remaining 2 years of former Senator Thad Cochran's term. Now, nationally, right now, the Republican Party is in control of the U.S. Senate with 51% of seats being Republican and 44% of seats being Democrat. Another 2% of seats belong to other parties. Now, these results are not final, with only 97 seats out of 100 reporting. And in a turn of events, the U.S. House of Representatives is now being controlled by the Democratic Party. The Democrats now have 220 seats in the House, while Republicans have 196 seats. These results are also not final, with only 416 seats declared out of 435. Well, last night's election results took some folks by surprise. I spoke with political science experts about what made last night's election so different from previous midterm elections.
Surprising in the sense that it's a Republican-dominated state, so it was very expected that a Republican candidate would do very well. It is surprising in the sense that Espy did so remarkably well.
Yesterday's special election in Mississippi has resulted in a runoff between current Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith and Democratic candidate Mike Espy. Now, the runoff election is set for November 27th. Professors in the political science department at Mississippi State University are convinced that Cindy Hyde-Smith will come out on top.
Because the McDaniel supporters most likely are going to support Hyde-Smith.
However, Dr. Mary Vaki says it's evident that many Republican votes do not support Hyde-Smith or the Trump endorsement.
Having McDaniel and Hyde-Smith, and McDaniel getting about 16% of the vote, 16.3% of the vote, that really shows that there is a core electorate in Mississippi that was not on board with Hyde-Smith.
Dr. Mary Vaki says having the Republican vote split, as well as having Espy's unexpected Democratic numbers, made this election stand out from previous Senate races.
I think that it spiced up Mississippi elections because we had a competitive election for a change.
And even though Hyde-Smith is projected to win in the upcoming runoff, Dr. Mary Vaki says we can expect to see a rise in both the Espy and Hyde-Smith campaigns.
I think that voters will now be really should expect to be contacted by parties and by grassroots organizers because we have an election in 2 weeks now.
Cash Matlock, Take 30 News. Well, Republican candidate Chris McDaniel has formally asked his supporters to lend their vote to Cindy Hyde-Smith in the upcoming November 27th runoff against Mike Espy.
Well, from a pair of Native American women to a Somali refugee and the first openly gay man elected governor, last night brought a series of history-making votes for women and LGBT candidates. CNN is reporting a record number of women, both Republican and Democrat, will win seats in the House in Minnesota. The first 2 Muslim women will be sent to Congress. CNN projects Colorado Democratic Representative Jared Polis will be the first openly gay man elected governor. It's being called one of the deadliest acts against the Jewish community in the United States. Last Saturday, a man armed with an AR-15 style assault rifle and at least 3 handguns entered a Pittsburgh synagogue shouting anti-Semitic slurs and opened fire on a group of worshipers.
11 people died and 4 police officers were wounded. Take 30's Sharon McDuffie has more on how local people honored the lives lost. Sharon.
Even though Pittsburgh is more than 800 miles away, the massacre touched a lot of people here at home, especially local Jewish people who say even they have experienced discrimination. Vigil was held on campus for the victims. Students of all different backgrounds came to pay their respects to the 11 lives taken. People were standing all across the room. While there, many Jews spoke out about what it's like to be Jewish in America and how they are treated. Each of them talked about their experiences. The turnout was more than what the group expected to see. Many faculty and staff, and even students that weren't Jewish, said a few words of comfort. All of them agreed that this is the time for love and not for hate. Jason Stein, the chairman of Hello, weighs in on what he thinks the nation needs to do.
Be a new focus on love. I feel as though the country is really becoming divided and is becoming more focused on hate now than ever.
If you look at this data report sheet from the FBI, you can see that Jewish people were the victims of more reported hate crimes than any other religious minority in 2016. And that year alone, 684 anti-Jewish incidents were reported. That's more than the rest of religious-motivated hate crimes combined. Now, you may be asking what hate crime laws are on the books. It turns out 45 states have hate crime laws regarding with race, religion, and ethnicity. Mississippi is included in this, and the state even has laws in place for gender discrimination. However, when it comes to sexual orientation, gender identity, and disability, there are no hate crime laws on that in place in the state. Cash.
Thank you, Sharon. Well, the vigil was organized by Hillel Jewish Life on Campus, the MSU Student Association, and the Division of Student Affairs.
A Mississippi State student was arrested for statutory rape, receiving child porn, and sending sexually oriented materials to minors. Starkville police say 22-year-old Lane E. Clark of Starkville was arrested last Thursday. In an article from the Dispatch Court's affidavits say Clark had a video of a minor engaging in sexually explicit conducts. The affidavits also state that he had sex with a child in his Starkville apartment and sent an explicit photo of himself to a child. Police say the incidents occurred during September and October, but were reported at the end of last month. A kidnapped baby will get to go back home thanks to a very attentive hotel clerk. According to a WAP-TV in Jackson, a clerk at the Ramada Inn in Pearl, Mississippi called police Monday night after checking in a guest that just didn't seem quite right. Police say Michael Christopher Diaz was carrying an abducted baby from the metro Atlanta area. They say Diaz was under the influence of marijuana and driving a stolen car. They think Diaz may have been in a relationship with the child's mother. The baby was in custody of Mississippi authorities until she could be reunited with family.
Well, after the break, how one fraternity is making a difference in the lives of school children here in Starkville. Stay with us.
You know the scene in those popular TV crime shows when the investigators show up? The one where they scratch their heads while trying to figure out who committed the homicide and when? At Mississippi State University, we're solving mysteries behind real-life crime scenes with forensic research that's a first of its kind. Teaming with microbiologists from around the country, we're examining microscopic bacteria that can help solve real murders. So far, our partnership with a major metropolitan medical examiner is yielding results with more than 200 real-life crime samples analyzed. We're learning how microbiomes change and relocate, uncovering evidence in criminal investigations by better pinpointing time of death. Way more exciting than being a TV detective. We're finding crucial answers when they're needed most. Solving mysteries with science, that's worth watching.
Last Thursday, the BYX fraternity hosted their annual Island Party concert. Take 30's Luke Lutz has why this event was more than just a musical act.
Y'all ready for some great music tonight? It's gonna be a good one.
3 musical acts came to Starkville last Thursday for the BYX annual Island Party. People throughout the community enjoyed this free event, which in addition to having performers like Sam Mooney, Jordan Searcy, and King's Kaleidoscope, also had vendors from across the area.
We've got one more song for you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out for it. Thank you for sticking through the rain. Stick around because you've got some mind-blowing music just ahead of you.
Though it rained throughout the night, the bands continued playing because the BYX Island Party was more than just a concert.
Last Thursday, BYX had a concert. In the rain, it was brisk. It was for Brickfire charity to help children at risk.
Brickfire is a non-profit after-school program for children from kindergarten to the 6th grade. At the event, the director of Brickfire and the students from the program were able to thank those in attendance.
The Brickfire Project is an aftercare program for low-income families in the Starkville community. So we have 150 mentors that are all Mississippi State students that come after school every day and help these kids with their homework, but most importantly, support them and form relationships with them.
My name is Layla. I am 9 years old. Brickfire is because they come and help us and let us pull up our grades. Every year during the school year, mentors come and help us for our homework, with our homework. They help our reading go better and our math. I love Brickfire because they help us with our homework.
BYX estimated that there were over 1,000 people in attendance, and they raised over $3,000 for Brickfire. I'm Luke Lutz with Take 30 News.
For more information on how to volunteer with Brickfire, you can call 662-178-125.
Now, if you thought you noticed people walking around campus as if they were looking for something important, that's because they were. Friday was True Maroon Trek scavenger hunt. Participants had 9 different places to go and solve riddles. The hunt took them to places like Newell Grissom Building and News Hall.
True Maroon Trek, it's really kind of a new thing. We started it about 2 years ago, and so it's been kind of getting all the kinks worked out and things like that the past 2 years, and so this year we really hit it off. It was one of our biggest events that we have each year, and then so it's one of the things that we really loved and enjoy to do. It's we are known as the tradition keepers of Mississippi State, the alumni delegates, and so this is something that we get to do to really foster that sense of traditions and culture and customs of Mississippi State.
Well, the winners took home prizes of autographed footballs, AirPods, and gift cards. You now have another possibly quieter place to study. Giles Hall Library has opened to allow other majors to use the library. Giles Hall Library has opened to allow other majors to use the library. Students we spoke to like the new space because they say it's a more peaceful place to study compared to Mitchell Memorial Library.
My friend told me about the library at Giles Hall, and we went there for like a study session, and there was only 3 or 4 people. So it's really different than the Mitchell Memorial Library, and the only downfall of this library is they only offer architecture and art studies books.
Is there more rain in our future? We've got the answer. Your weather forecast is coming up next. Remember, you're watching Take 30 News.
all depend on accurate weather forecasts to plan our day. That's why Mississippi State University is teaching students to forecast the future using real-world news sets as classrooms, putting scientific discoveries in meteorology to the test, while honing on-air reporting skills real-time with local TV stations. And we do it so well that at any given moment across the country, 1 in 3 weather forecasts are being delivered by MSU-trained meteorologists who are helping people make crucial decisions that impact their safety, working to ensure business continuity, and in many cases, saving lives. Predicting the future? That's what we're preparing for every single day so that you can prepare for your day.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Poole, and this is your weather forecast. Here's our radar from the MSU Campus Connect. You can see that a large rain cell has moved through earlier today. It was a quick moving front, but it brought much cooler temperatures to the area. Temperatures in Tupelo have fallen 13 degrees. Since this time yesterday, down in Louisville, it's fallen 6 degrees, with Eupora and Calhoun City falling to 10 to 11 degrees over the last 24 hours. But don't expect them to fall much further as we look at our 7-day forecast. Today's high was 59 degrees and will drop to 49 overnight. We'll expect this rain to stick through the area also through Friday. On Friday, we'll have a high of 52, but the big story is that a low of 32 degrees will occur overnight on Saturday. So be sure to take care of any outside plants or animals, as it will be cold and wet outside this weekend. Monday, we'll have some rain move back into the area before dropping into a high 40s next week. Right now on Starkville campus, it's 52 with some cloud cover and isolated rain showers. That 10-mile-per-hour wind is expected to die down this evening, though. As always, thank you to MSU Campus Connect Weather for that forecast. Remember, you can always find updated weather information online at weather.msstate.edu. Coming up, we'll have highlights from Hail State Hoops women's basketball. Sports Block is next. Stay tuned.
The sense of place. We all have it, often grown from deep roots in small-town communities. At Mississippi State University, our Carl Small Town Center is strengthening these ties. With nearly 40 years of making a difference, we're revitalizing communities into welcoming places to work, live, and congregate. By weaving together the best pieces of our past with modern technology and amenities, we're creating the hometowns of the future. Places where lifetime memories can be made, where you have all the things you need, along with all the things you want. Through partnerships with our communities, we're identifying improvement opportunities, recommending paths forward, and creating the plans for a better tomorrow. Discovery. It tells our history and determines our future. At Mississippi State University, we're digging deep, unlocking an understanding of our past, validating it. Middle East exploration by faculty and students is uncovering evidence that unravels ancient mysteries. Scholars have long thought of the biblical kings David and Solomon as mythological figures. Our research offers evidence that supports their existence, boosting MSU into an international league of experts on archaeology. Now we're changing the way people think about the past, opening up new possibilities of understanding for future generations. Digging deeper, learning more.
Welcome back from break. I'm Robert Heron. Got hoops? It's now officially basketball season. Last Friday, the women's basketball team had an exhibition game before officially starting their season Tuesday night, and their fans are more than ready for their team to be back.
It's that time again. Ever since the end of last season, fans have been ready to pack the hump once again.
Here we are, we're ready to start a new season.
Even though it was an exhibition game, over 4,000 fans gathered at the Humphrey Coliseum to watch their favorite Bulldogs.
Everybody's starting to come in, line out front. Exciting. Here we go. Let's get it going. The Maroon games the other week, very good.
It may look a little empty right now, but fans are about to come in for this 6 o'clock game and watch.
Excitement was everywhere, from the music to the fans.
So excited to be back in the home, like the women's basketball, like energy and everything. It's just so great, and I hope they make it back to the championship this year.
While the game started off a bit slow, the fans continued to keep the energy going all throughout the game. They showed their true emotions during every play, every call, and every basket made by our girls. The Bulldogs won 97-56. It's safe to say that the women's basketball fans are more than devoted to watch, support, and cheer on their Bulldogs.
And just like their exposition game, the Bulldogs also had a very successful season opener. Tuesday night, they went against Southeast Missouri State and came out with another W, beating them 88-53. Good luck to these young women on their season. Their next game this Friday, November 9th, will be an away game in Charlottesville, Virginia. It will be aired on the ACC network. Then the team will be back, bringing it back to Salt Vegas, November 15th at 7 p.m. Ever wonder how a sporting event is broadcast here on campus? Well, students here at Mississippi State are getting that real-life experience. Join me as I take us behind the scenes of SEC Network here on campus. Yeah, that's a student running this camera. I was surprised at first too. The SEC Network partnered with Mississippi State, and they are giving students the opportunity of a lifetime.
Well, we're tasked with a responsibility of managing the day-to-day operation of video for the athletic department. And that includes everything from broadcasting games to running the video systems that you see, you know, the replay systems when you go to a game.
Many thought it would be an experience they wouldn't get anywhere else, even for the student who didn't think this would be something they would like.
I've always enjoyed watching podcasts and wanted to kind of know how they happen and stuff, so it hasn't necessarily been a thought to do it, but once I saw it, I realized that it would be really cool to do and something that I've always enjoyed.
Cameras are a big thing in this business, and Mississippi State has a few to play with. Mr. Ashford talks about the camera setup for football.
So we use for that 4 cameras. Of those 4 cameras, one of them is a wireless camera, which can go anywhere in the stadium that we need it to. The other 3 cameras are hard cameras. 2 of those hard cameras will have big lenses. And when I say big lenses, the magnification of those lenses are probably, 66x, which is, pretty big lens. So I can zoom in almost to waist up from the press box to a quarterback. We do the big lenses in certain locations because we want to be able to see closer rather than farther away.
Now, I know you heard Benny talking about one of those 60i cameras, and I'm pretty sure you was confused. But this is one of the cameras he was talking about right here, with the big lens, the viewfinder, the zoom, the focus. Currently, we're at 1x right now, and I can go as far as the goal. But if I choose to switch to 2x, it make it seem like I'm closer to the court. And I can even go as far as the bank first sign on the opposite side of the court. Stephen Trimble, the Assistant Director of Broadcast Operations, said it's pretty cool what the SEC Network and ESPN are doing for our students here on campus.
So the really cool thing about the SEC Network and Mississippi State is we provide students a real-world experience in the broadcast industry. So one of my jobs is to help recruit and maintain and find students. So
finding students who are looking to be great storytellers, not just on paper, but through sports video. Every semester, Ashford and Trimble are looking for the next student who is interested about learning the ins and outs of the business. Next productions are scheduled for this Friday, one for basketball and one for soccer. Now, that's all we have for sports today. I'm finna send it back to Cash and Sydney at the desk.
Robert. Well, Sydney, it looks like many of us are in really bad shape. The numbers are out. Mississippi is officially the fattest state in America once again.
Oh my, once again?
Once again.
Oh my God.
So according to a Wallet Hub study, Mississippi ranked #1, followed by West Virginia and Arkansas. Researchers studied the number of obese and overweight people in each state, along with with regular eating habits, and the leading cause, they say, is actually a lack of physical activity, genetics, and emotional instability and sleeplessness. Now, I know I can definitely relate to the sleeplessness part.
Of course, I can agree. I can definitely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, so I know this is really no surprise to me. I feel like we've been the leader in this for a number of years now.
Goodness.
I'm pretty sure I've heard that before.
If you could guess how long, what would you say?
I would say like the last 5 or 10 years, and honestly, in my opinion.
So what can we do different?
Honestly, really not sure. But I think we're gonna take another brief look at weather real quick. So we're gonna pull that up real fast. Wednesday, got a high of 59. Thursday, high of 57. Friday, high of 52. And your weekend's looking pretty sunny with rain chances at 20% on Sunday.
So we got some rain and we got some sun going back and forth here.
Overall, looking pretty good. Well, that's gonna be about all the time we have for tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching.
And we'll see you next time.